too. What's going on? It's preaching. So I'm like in Denton, Texas. You know, that's outside of Dallas. And I'm on my 34-hour reset. Alright, so I'm sitting at the Loves. Sit behind me. At the Loves at the Wendy's. I was eating and I was watching YouTube videos like some of y'all doing. And I saw this one video of this woman that says she's homeless because of YouTube truckers, trucker gurus. Led her down the wrong path. And my wife got me reading comments on these videos now, just to see what people are saying. And a lot of people were saying different things, but I'm listening to her, and she named some big ones out there. But this is the problem. Some of the big ones that she named out there, they don't know how to run a trucking business themselves. So you taking advice from some, what she called trucking gurus. I have never heard these people call themselves a guru at all. Not one time. Well, that's what she called. But she could be inside her feelings, and that's why she's saying this, because she's inside her feelings too. So, but I'm like, if you look at their track records, they jump from companies to companies, never have longevity at any company, tried to get out there on their own, failed all the times that they got out there on their own. So I tell people all the time, listen, do your research. I'm not saying YouTube University is not good, but you take all the information. Just don't let what you see and what you learning on YouTube be your final decision on something. Don't let it be that. You add that to what you are doing when you're doing your research, or why you should do something. And I done said this on previous videos. Before I got started with my own business, I hired a business attorney, paid $1,000 for 4 hours. It was $250 an hour. I had a business consultant that consults in trucking business, and that was $250 an hour. I paid for 4 hours for that. That was $1,000 too, when I was establishing my business. So I'm just not saying this, and I never done it. I did it before I started to make sure that this is what I was gonna do. And by listening to them, and they looking at my finances and what I needed and what was my risk tolerance. Okay, because do you got a high risk tolerance? Do you got a low risk tolerance? Depending on what you need to support your family, you need to know, right? That makes sense. So what I'm saying is, when you out here doing this and stuff and listening to these people, spend the money to make sure, if you're gonna listen to somebody, you getting the right information that you need. Just don't sit out here and listen to people that don't got a proven track record themselves. Anytime you got people jumping from company to company, that means they made the wrong decision about the company that they first had. Okay? I'm not saying that's 100% of the reason. I'm not saying that's 100% of the time. What I'm saying is, when you got people who jump from job to job, it's some indecisive stuff going on, either on their part or on the part of the company. You just could do your best work. It's not working out, stick through it. All right? So I'm just saying, like I said, I ran restaurants before I got inside of trucking for 19 years. All right. You got slow seasons, you got busy seasons, you got medium seasons, you got seasons for change. So if you prepare and you going inside a business, if you live below your means, when you start making more money, you don't add money to your means. You just put it up and you just save it, right? You got to have some type of financial discipline in this business, so that way you can weather the storm when the storm comes. How you go homeless because of trucking, I don't know. That lets me know you didn't get out before it got bad, and you didn't realize it was bad. Okay, sometimes it's okay to fail, but it's how you fail at what you are doing. Because once you fail, you learn from that. So when you pick yourself back up again, you know what not to do when you get inside this in business. Let me tell y'all a secret. Business is business. I got 19 years of experience of doing budgets, doing performance, dealing with finances, tracking business, low sales, high sales. Okay, numbers are numbers. It does not matter. It may say something different or mean something different between the type of business that you are in, but the numbers is not going to change. The numbers are the numbers. You may call it something else. Okay, we may call it our gross revenue in trucking. Someone else may call it the net sales. It don't matter, but you still gonna take the total amount of money that you brought in. But in different businesses, it's called different things, but the numbers don't change. So after 19 years of doing numbers and budgets and performing budgets and declining budgets, you learn how to track your spending throughout your week to see where you at, to see if you're making your goal. So before the end of the week, I already know what's my projected profit at the end of the week. And do I need to make changes or do I not need to make changes? I know when I go home for the weekend, depending on how many days I want, I know how much I need to make in order for me to break even. That means to pay all my bills. Now, I won't make nothing in profit, but I can pay all my business expenses and I am not in the negative. Okay? So that's what I mean. You tracking your numbers. So if I'm going to take 3 days off, I know, hey, because I'm taking 3 days off, this week I'm not going to make no money, but I'm not going to owe no money because I took 3 days off. I automatically know. If I'm going to take 2 days off and just work 5 days, I automatically know I'm only going to make between $600 to $720, depending on where I fuel it at the time that I fuel. So I already know. That's why you do declining budgets along the way. What I'm trying to say is, if you're listening to these people out here, do your own research too. Don't think because you learned a little bit of something that you are ready. And a lot of times, see, people ready to get a trucking business. Trucking business is not always the answer, because if you never ran a business before, how can you run a trucking business? Just because you know how to bump a dock and drive a truck don't mean you know business. It's still called a trucking business for a reason. You never managed nothing before in your life. All of a sudden, you trying to manage all this and stuff that goes on with trucking. Really. And you never managed nothing before in your life. So you're going to take some little information that you get and you just finna ride with it now and put up all your life hopes and family needs all on a split decision off of just a little insignificant amount of research. Before I decided to become an owner operator and get my own truck, y'all remember Karen. Karen's another story. I'm going to tell y'all about that later. Okay? I was running my Warner truck like it was my truck. I was tracking all the expenses. I was tracking all the fuel. I was tracking all this. When I talked with the brokers, I'm asking brokers different questions that I need. Did that for a whole year before I decided to go ahead and get in my own business and start my own truck. A whole year. Till I felt like I had enough knowledge so when I get in this business, I can succeed. All right? I'm going on 9 years. I've been out here a total of 9 years. 4 of those years was with Warner. 5 of those years now has been as an owner operator, and with this truck, a lease operator. Okay, so only thing I'm trying to say, I'm not saying don't listen to them, don't ask them questions, don't take their information that they have. I'm saying make that be a part of your research when you're trying to get out here and do these things. I had people who've been in the trucking industry for 15 years by the time I got out here that I was able to talk to and ask questions when I was going through some things, when I needed some stuff, when I needed some service on my truck, people who they have used before. I had people that I can talk to for some information to help me out when I first got started, that I can call anytime, day or night, 24 hours, they'll pick up for me. Okay, so when I got up in here, I had somebody, when I had questions, that I can call and talk to and ask questions and help me out with some stuff. Then they also say if I need help finding a load, they'll even also help me find a load as well. Okay, so I'm just saying, I'm not saying don't listen to them. What I am saying is make that be just part of your research when you're trying to find out information about this trucking out here. All right, y'all be blessed.